My name is Andy Walgamuth, and this is my story. I had Jesus in my life, but honestly, I kept him in my back pocket. I was kind of a perfect foxhole Christian. I didn't really lean on him except for when I really needed something. I had this sense that everything had to be perfect. Things had to unfold in my life a certain way. And I didn't handle failure very well. You know, when the girls were born, it really raised the bar on my perfection. And when things didn't go right, I just felt like a failure. And that was really hard to deal with. So I kind of found that if you drank a few beers, it relaxed me, and nothing bad really seemed like it was going on. It was a drinking problem, but it was a thinking problem, because how do I handle these failures and what do I do with them? The drinking just got worse, and it didn't help with any of the problems. It just created more. I was drinking more. I was lying about it, hiding it. It caused a lot of hurt feelings between my wife and I and the kids. It just escalated so quickly.
I'm Joyce, and this is my story. As you can imagine, things were very difficult being married to an alcoholic. There were a lot of times that I was alone trying to protect the girls. We didn't have family around, so there'd be nights that he'd be passed out and I'd try to pretend with the girls that everything was okay. And once they got to bed, I would kind of just spend some time just crying, and I didn't always pray, and then I'd get mad at myself for not turning to God first.
Joyce would encourage us to go to church, and I would walk in there, and I couldn't sit there. The guilt and the anxiety was just overwhelming. So it was easier to run and hide, so I quit attending. I would discourage Joyce and the girls from going because I knew, if they went, that meant I would have to go, and that was just someplace I couldn't be. And the anxiety and the guilt that drinking caused was just horrific.
There was a lot of anger towards Andy. I couldn't believe he was doing this to our family. So I became very cold and very callous towards him, not very loving. It wasn't the marriage that I wanted. I wasn't the person that I wanted to be. There was a lot of hard, lonely times. And it became a time that I didn't really feel anything. I would go through my life with my girls and try to be the best mom that I could to them.
And Joyce had asked me, she said, well, what would you think about talking to Pastor Daniel? And I said, yeah, sure, I'll go meet with him. Because in my sick thinking, I thought, he's going to tell me that, you're right, man, you got it bad. Here's what you need to do. You need to come to church a few more Sundays, throw a little bit more in the offering plate, but you're okay, But talking to him was when the healing began. But I remember a couple of bold questions that he had asked me, and one was, he asked me, why don't you love yourself? Because if I love myself, I certainly wouldn't be doing what I was doing to myself. He said, nobody who loves themselves would do this. I said, how do I love myself? I mean, I've lied, I've drank, I've ran from God. And he said, God still loves you. And all he wants is a relationship with you. He wants you as you are. He loves you no matter what.
God really started showing me that I'm the one with the problem too. The wall started coming down. I could feel again. And it got to the point where he was starting to make changes, and I could see those changes, and I was hopeful every time that, okay, maybe this is over, maybe we've got this now. And there was a lot of hang-ups along the way, a lot of setbacks. There was a verse that just kept coming up over and over and over, Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper. And I just clung to that, thinking that God loves our family and He wants us to stay a family. And so I started having hope, and I would allow myself to hope, because so many other times when I got my hopes up, I would just be hurt again. I could see the changes that God was making in both of our lives, and it became easier to hope. It became easier to love. My first reactions still weren't always to go to God in prayer, and I still don't read my Bible the way I should, and I still am not that perfect person, but I never will be, and I know that that's okay, because God loves us anyway. And He has shown His face so blatantly in so many ways. And it's almost like I get these daily sticky notes from God with the sunrise, like, here you go, Joyce, this one's for you. And when the girls would come home and you'd have a great day, it was another hug from God that things are gonna be okay, and I love you, my darling, and it's all right.
You know, I learned that this isn't a quick fix. I mean, Shawnee Alliance Church says, give us a year and you'll see a transformed life. And I'm so thankful to be able to say today that I'm not the man I need to be, but I'm not who I was. I'll be forever grateful for Shawnee Alliance Church and for Celebrate Recovery for giving me back my life, giving me back a relationship with my family. I know we're not done yet, and I know we have a lot of work to do, but it's a lot more fun working with her and the girls than it is working against them.
I can't wait to see the end of the story, because it's been pretty cool so far.
We are the Walgamoose,
and this is our story.